Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance Channel's Romance Roundup, the #1 romance book recs talk show. I am Liz Donatelli.
And I'm Libby Kay, author of the sweet romance series Buckeye Falls.
Libby and I are excited to share the 2024 fall romance releases on our to-be-read lists. Watch Romance Roundup on Reader Seeks Romance Channel and subscribe on YouTube. Listen to Romance Roundup on Podbean and all podcast apps. Viewers and listeners can email us at readerseeksromance@yahoo.com and follow us on Instagram at LibbyKAuthor and at ReaderSeeksRomance. Hello, Libby.
Hello, Liz. How are you?
I can't believe that fall is almost upon us.
I am simultaneously ready and not ready at all. I am so sick of sweating to death. And you know I'm a huge fan of fall in general, but fall reading is also one of my favorite things.
To prepare for this episode, I researched a few things. I went to NetGalley to see what books are coming up. I went to She Reads Romance Books. I always go to shereadsromancebooks.com. Check that out. Then I also go to Natasha is a Book Junkie. That's another website I go to. And then I just do some Google searches and whatnot. So what I discovered is that holiday books and Christmas books are coming out even earlier because they're starting to come out like end of August. There's a lot in September. What's going on?
I don't know. And I'm almost comparing it to like, not to sound like an old person shaking my fist at a cloud, but I feel like it's almost like, as soon as the 4th of July is done, then it's back to school. And then before they're back in school, it's Halloween. And before Halloween, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to just sound like a curmudgeon, but it's like I kind of like being in the moment with these holidays. Like I said, I'm a huge fall person. I'm not necessarily a huge Halloween fan, but I like the vibes. And I just feel like I guarantee when I go to Target next week, there's going to be tinsel somewhere and it's probably going to piss me off. Maybe is it just that there's so many books coming out that they have with the market, they literally have to push it back into early September and late August, like just to give everybody a fair shot so they're not, tripping over each other. So I don't know, like, as a reader, I'm probably still going to read them. I might be, checking them out later, or buying them later. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to complain because you know me, I'm a huge holiday romance fan. So that's not a hardship, but I kind of at least want to be in my cardigan sweaters before I start buying or renting those.
Yeah, it's too early for me to be in that state of mind. I don't get into the Christmassy holiday feel until around Thanksgiving. Anytime before that, your sales ploys and fancy book covers are not going to sway me to read your holiday and or Christmas romances any earlier than Thanksgiving weekend. So I did not choose any holiday romances for my fall TBR. I also wanted to save some titles because we will eventually do a holiday, romance list. So
ditto. Speaking of straddling holidays, that's not the right word. It's not a holiday.
Straddling holidays. What a great title.
Straddling.
Straddling.
That sounds spicier than what I do, but I would actually read that.
I like that. Straddling holidays. Let's make that happen.
If you are interested in both a slightly summery and fall read, Forever to Fall, book 5 in my Buckeye Falls series, comes out on August 20th in print and ebook.
And also on September 12th, Romance Roundup Book Club launches at Kix Mix Bookstore in the Columbus, Ohio area. We'll be reading Ashley Poston or Poston. Eventually we'll find out how to pronounce her last name.
I've heard it the same or both ways equal amounts of time. So I am totally, we'll just have to become her friend and ask her.
We're going to have to. This has been mentioned in more than one episode, Ashley Poston Poston. So Ashley Poston Poston's a novel love story. And Libby and Liz will be at Kix Mix leading a discussion. So tickets are available via Eventbrite. I know we have mostly U.S. listeners and viewers, but at one point we were on the charts in, I think it was Brazil. Is that what I told you? Brazil.
And, which is insane, but I'm here for it.
And then we dropped off the chart in Brazil. So I don't know what happened.
Well, to our Brazilian listeners, please give us a second chance.
I don't know what we did to offend you. Well, then I guess there's only one thing left to do. Libby, let the roundup begin.
Giddy up, Liz. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to do mine in chronological order. So the first new release that I'm super excited about is My Vampire Plus One by Jenna Levine. Friend of the show, we had her on last year for for her debut release. This comes out from Berkeley on September 17th. This is a follow-up to My Roommate is a Vampire, but judging from what I've read online, this is not necessarily a sequel in that you have to read the first one. Although having read and loved the first one, I would highly recommend reading both. So this is, as the title would suggest, a paranormal romance, and it is a fake dating trope, which again, I'm always here for fake dating. And Jenna Levine's writing is done in such a way that even me, who is not usually a paranormal fan, is on board. The general premise of this book and the tagline is nothing sucks more than fake dating a vampire in this paranormal romantic comedy from USA Today bestselling author of My Roommate is a Vampire, Jenna Levine.
So My Vampire Plus One, I selected that book to be part of Reader Seeks Romance Book Club, which we've been doing for a few years in Columbus at Mimi's Cafe restaurant
For October, which would be perfect because even though it comes out in September, I don't know, it's the same thing. I can't read Christmassy reads before I carve my pumpkin, even though I don't carve pumpkins anymore. And I can't do spooky stuff until, it's a little bit cooler outside. I don't know. Okay, so anyway, going back to the general premise of this book, because it sounds super cute and a little steamy. So Amelia Collins is by definition successful. She would even go so far as to say successfully single, but not according to her family. And she's tired of the constant questions about her non-existent dating life. When an invitation to yet another family wedding, I have thought of you when I read this since I know you love weddings so much.
Yeah, I do. but I mean, all right, go ahead.
When an invitation for yet another family wedding arrives, she decides to get everyone off her back once and for all by finding anyone, to pose as her date. After a chance encounter with Reginald Cleves, Amelia decides he's perfect for her purposes. He's a bit strange, but that's fine. It'll discourage tough questions from her family. And it certainly doesn't hurt that he's very handsome, wink, wink. For centuries-old vampire Reggie, posing as her plus one sounds like the ultimate fun. And if it helps his ruse of pretending to be human, so much the better. As Amelia and Reggie practice their faux-mance, which I think might be one of my new favorite words, it becomes clear that Reggie is as loyal to her as the day is long, and that Amelia's first impressions could not have been more wrong. Suddenly, being in a real relationship with Reggie sounds pretty fantastic.
Oh, I love a good pun.
Isn't that cute? So and I mentioned this when we interviewed Jenna last year, which it feels funny to say last year because it doesn't really feel like it was that long ago. But as much as I loved her main characters in My Roommate is a Vampire, Reggie, who is the secondary character in that, I think he stole every scene he was in. He was hilarious. He was self-deprecating. He had this quirky charm, and it didn't feel gimmicky because sometimes you read books and the sidekicks oh my gosh, here they come again. But for Reggie, I never got that vibe. I was excited when, you know how it is when you start a chapter and you kind of skim ahead. I'm like, oh, there's Reggie's name. It's going to be great. So to me, this is a long time coming because I just feel like he was destined to have his own book. So again, not a huge fan of paranormal romance, but I like the way Levine describes this alternate vampire world in modern day. It's relatable situations that, us mere mortals can relate to. And I will say her debut there were a couple LOL moments because I know when we see rom-coms, sometimes we get oh, is it actually funny? And if this is anything like My Roommate is a Vampire, I have a feeling we're going to get some laughs out of My Vampire Plus One.
Excellent. Okay, well, I'm excited to read it with our book club.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good time.
Awesome.
And so that was My Vampire Plus One by Jenna Levine, out September 19th from Berkeley.
And I have a paranormal romance as well.
Ooh, tell me all about it, Liz.
I'm excited to read Colby Wilkins' adult debut, If I Stopped Haunting You. I don't know if you've come across this one.
No.
It's such an awesome book cover. And as we've mentioned book covers in a recent episode, If I Stopped Haunting You is a paranormal haunted house romance. And the book cover has this couple. And then in the background, it reminds me of the Haunted Mansion ride at Disneyland.
Fun.
So there's a big painting of a woman with it looks like hollowed out eyes. And so it's got a great Halloween vibe. It releases October 15th by St. Martin's Griffin. So here's the blurb. An enemies to lovers romance with a spooky twist where two feuding writers end up on a writer's retreat together at a haunted castle in Scotland.
Ooh.
So there's a lot of, boxes checked for me.
Especially Scotland. Yes, please.
Yes, yes. I love horror movies, and my favorite category is the haunted house horror. So I'm excited about this.
Kind of like the ghosts and spooky stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah, I like that. I like that more than just straight up gore and all that.
Which
Okay.
is funny because I'm kind of the opposite. I kind of give me a good slasher movie,
So
and
you prefer the slashers, huh?
I'm actually more scared by things that can happen, which I guess means I don't believe in ghosts and vampires. So yeah, to
Oh,
me, like someone, like a Michael Myers bursting into my house with a mask and a knife seems more scary and realistic than a ghost. Having
really?
said that, I still like haunted house stuff though.
I like haunted house. I like people being killed in creative ways, but I'm not really a real big slasher. Like I'll watch them, but I
Yeah.
like I like a good poisoning.
I
Uh,
feel like this is like going into our psyches.
yeah, yeah. You don't want to.
Yeah.
You don't want to. I got to close the
Living in a
curtain
game
to my
changer.
brain because you don't want to be let in on that.
Yeah.
So there's an interesting blurb from Alicia Thompson, who we've
Oh,
mentioned on the
yes, I
show.
love her books.
Yeah, the author of Love in the Time of Serial Killers and The Art of Catching Feelings. And Alicia's blurb of If I Stopped Haunting You is if you're in the mood for a steamy enemas.
Enemas.
Yeah. Wow. Enemas to lovers could be a kinky category.
Is that like a medical mister or a medical romance?
It's like medical erotica,
Oh
enema to
God.
lovers.
I'm slightly traumatized, but it's okay.
If you're in the mood for a steamy enemies to lovers romance, but also a chilling haunted house horror, get you a book that can do both. I blazed through this book in one sitting because I just couldn't wait to find out what would happen next. So that's a
Ooh,
pretty glowing
I would say.
review blurb from Alicia Thompson. Here's the gist. Penelope and Neil are rival horror authors who are invited to a writer's retreat in a haunted Scottish castle. The two find themselves trapped in a real life ghost story. They share a kiss and start rethinking their feelings for each other. And apparently, Colby previously wrote a YA novel. So this is
Yeah, because that
Colby's
name
first
sounds
adult
familiar,
release.
but
Yeah.
it didn't.
Yeah, so I'm excited to read If I Stopped Haunting You by Colby Wilkins, out October 15th.
And
Ooh,
see, and that's the
was it?
perfect release date for a book like that, because that's
Yes,
exactly when I'm going to want to read something like that. So,
I agree. And I was just thinking maybe I didn't pay too much attention to the status of some of the authors, but maybe a lot of those holiday romances that come out really early, whether they be Halloween coming out in July or,
yeah.
holiday or Christmas coming out in like September, are maybe those are indie authors or published by
Maybe.
smaller publishers and they're trying just to, beat out the bigger publishers. Maybe that's it.
You might be onto something because I didn't actually pay attention to who the publishers were, and I think that's
Yeah.
actually a really good point.
Yeah, that might be it. But at some point, it's
I mean,
gotta
at some
gotta
point, it's always
stop.
going to be Christmas, and that's kind of takes away the special part of Christmas.
Right. What have you next, Libby?
Okay, well, I'm going to look like a liar now because I keep saying I don't read paranormal romance. And here's another one that I want to read. So this one is called Fang Fiction. So I think we all know where it's going, by Kate Stayman London. This comes out October 1st from Dial Press. It is a standalone, and the tropes listed on Goodreads are paranormal romance and I thought of you when I read this, campy rom-com. I thought I've
Oh,
never seen that description on Goodreads for a book. So I'm
can't
like,
be
okay,
wrong.
you've got my
But
attention.
I did come across this book in my search. I saw the
And it
book
had a good
cover.
cover.
Yeah, the book cover is pretty cool.
It
There's
had a
like,
cool cover.
yeah, yeah.
So here's the description of the book. So we all have the general premise. The tagline is, "She's out for adventure, he's out for blood." So,
That's awesome.
okay. So Tess Rosenblum is no stranger to the dark. An assault survivor and grad school dropout, Tess spends her nights managing a chic Brooklyn hotel and her days reading her favorite vampire novels, Blood Feud. She even dabbles in online conspiracies claiming Blood Feud is real. It's fun, and it's fun to hunt for the clues. But deep down, Tess doesn't believe vampires actually exist until one walks through her front door. It turns out the sexy villain of Blood Feud is trapped, and only Tess can rescue him. Eager to escape her life, Tess agrees to help, and soon she's on a secret island where the sun never shines, surrounded by deadly vampires, and most terrifying of all, she's falling in love with one of them. Meanwhile, I know, right? It's very
Wait, there's
intriguing.
more?
There's more.
Okay.
Meanwhile, back in New York, Tess's estranged best friend is having a sapphic paranormal affair of her own. So we kind of have two things going on here at the same time.
Okay.
I haven't, this is why I'll finish reading the thing and then we'll talk.
Mhm.
Uh, visiting the world of your favorite story is any fan's dream, but can Tess outrun the demons of her past and vampires of her present before it becomes a nightmare? In this darkly glamorous rom-com, Tess will find out if it's worth risking her neck and her heart for a chance to reclaim her future. So I am intrigued by this book for a couple different reasons. I really loved Kate's debut, One to Watch, that came out, I think, 3 years ago. It was a plus size heroine in a bachelorette style reality show. And I remember there was strong fashion connections. She was obsessed with shoes. There was just very, I hate to just say girly, but that's kind of the vibe I got from reading it. It was very girly,
Okay.
for girly reality show fans like myself, and I think you.
Yes.
So I enjoyed her writing. I enjoyed how that book, and I don't know if this one will necessarily, but I like how she handled the potential love triangle. With that one, it was just very well done. It had just the right amount of tension, and it wasn't like, oh geez, she's obviously not into this guy. Like, she really had me hooked. But the thing that intrigues me about this is it sounds like there's going to be, and I don't want to say parallel because I'm sure they'll interconnect, but two parallel romances happening. So that's
Right.
another thing. I'm curious to see how that works, and if it's gonna, I'm curious to see if I'm going to be satisfied with both romances, because it's obviously just one book. It's not like we're going to have a series where we can delve into, the heart, for lack of a better example, of the romance. So I'm intrigued.
Yeah, that's an ambitious undertaking because as readers, we won't be able to help liking one main character over the other. Do you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like, so
Yes,
it might be like, oh, I really like this one, but not the other one's story so much. So I can't wait to get to the next chapter with this. Like, I feel like
exactly.
your attention and your investment is divided.
Yes,
So I
yes,
guess you have to really like both of them and want to
yes.
HEA desperately for both of them, not just one of them over the other.
And
So
I'm assuming that the vampire love connect, or the romance connections, will be connected with the vampires, because I'm very intrigued by the whole story coming to life. I know that's been in a lot
yeah.
of books coming out soon or that have recently come out. So I hope that's not watered down to have two simultaneous romance plots going. So I'm still gonna read it. I'm still intrigued. Like I said, I really enjoyed Kate Stayman London's debut. So I am
Yeah.
going in, jumping in feet first, or was that good? Feet first? I can't remember what to
I
say.
I I mean, I guess it's good.
Yeah, it's better than, yeah, I'm going to jump in feet first. I don't
It's
know if that's right, but
it's
that's how
better
I'm doing it. Darn it.
it's better than jumping in face first, I'd imagine.
Exactly.
I will read anything that is different at this point because I'm
Yeah.
oversaturated with a lot of the same. So something like that where there's two parallel love stories going on that probably somehow interconnect at the end. Yeah, I would definitely give it a read.
I will too. So I will report back later on Fang Fiction by Kate Stayman London, out October 1st from Dial Press. So we've talked about paranormal, we've talked about vampires. What do you have next for us, Liz?
We're heading up to Marshmallow Mountain.
Oh no, I have
Do you?
that one too. I picked it and I thought, oh, you fool, Liz is going to pick this too. And I'm like, no, damn it, I got to do it. Well, we can both talk about it.
We can both talk about it. What's funny is there was another book I should have picked. There was another book I was debating whether or not to talk about. I forgot which one. I said, oh, Libby's probably going to pick this. I'll pick Marshmallow Mountain.
Well, tell us about Marshmallow Mountain.
Well, after we chatted with AJ Truman in
Mhm.
one of our Pride Month episodes, I became very intrigued. So I'm super excited to read Gay Male Rom-Com Marshmallow Mountain, book one in Big Boys Small Spaces series, co-authored by AJ Truman and M.A. Wardell. Marshmallow Mountain releases by the authors. It's self-published on October 22nd. The tagline, what's worse than being snowed in with your ex? Literally nothing. So I'm like,
I
okay.
know. Even if he wouldn't have told us about this, just
Yeah.
reading that, because as we have discussed, I love me a book where they're stuck together in a house and it's not a
Yes.
squatter situation, but I feel like we're,
Yeah. I mean, I mean, you've got to think with houses. I think with
I know,
houses.
and I can't explain it. I don't know what this means.
I don't want to know.
Yeah, I know. She likes slasher movies. She likes people that don't have houses.
I think AJ mentioned that Marshmallow Mountain is what the couple calls the mountain. It's not really officially
Yes.
called like Marshmallow Mountain. So,
Yes.
Marshmallow Mountain is an opposites attract, snowed in second chance romance between two men named Marshall. Maybe that's where they get Marshmallow
Yeah.
Mountain, who meet to clean out a cabin that they share in Maine, and they're preparing to sell it. But a massive snowstorm traps them in their small cabin for days, and they're forced to confront hard truths about their breakup, as well as resist the sweltering heat raging between them. These boys might be headed for a second act, but only if they can make it off Marshmallow Mountain.
That
So
almost sounds like it's a horror movie.
you know what? It could be. And it's the most adorable cover. It's a cartoon, illustrated book cover. And I don't know if you mentioned this in your notes, but there's a cute little, like, one of them is bopping the other one in the nose with
Yes,
the tip of their finger.
it's
And it's like,
so cute. I
it's,
can't
yeah,
stand it. And
yeah,
I know, and obviously we picked this for the same reason because we both really enjoy AJ Truman and M.A. Wardell's writing. They
yeah,
are currently well, that's not fair. I have a lot of favorite MM romance authors, but they're in the top three.
yeah,
But they I feel like they both write with actual humor. And that's one of the things I'm looking forward to
yeah,
with Marshmallow Mountain is yes, it'll definitely be steamy. And if it's not, I'll be disappointed. But it'll
yeah.
definitely be steamy. I just love their banter in both of their books. So seeing them come together, like, oh my God, I'm just so excited. I wish it was October 22nd right now.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can reach out to our good pal AJ and ask for
Yeah.
an arc.
Ooh, we
Although
should.
I know you're not crazy about getting arcs because of the pressure
I
of
know it is a lot of pressure. I'm
yeah,
so bad at it. It just gives me
yeah.
anxiety.
But
But
let's
I will
face it,
take on the anxiety for this because I'm going to read it anyway. So might as well start now.
that's true, and you'll just tear through it. Like
Oh,
I'm sure
yeah.
it's going to be like a very consumable read. Is there anything else you wanted to add to that?
The only thing I was going to add, other than the fact that I love all of their books, I like that they're both, and I think AJ might have mentioned this in our interview, both plus sized main characters.
That's it.
And
Yes.
I'm not saying that that makes or breaks it, but I think it's refreshing that both are, because
Yeah.
that seems pretty realistic to people that I know. I like that that's something different from
Yeah.
some of the other, because again, a lot of the ones that I've talked about on the show have been hockey romances. And so obviously they're these, jacked athletes, which is fun in its own way. But, sometimes you do want a little marshmallow. And so in this
Yeah.
case, too.
Honestly, like we talked about scratch and sniff book covers in our
Yes.
book cover
Yes.
episode, and this would be the perfect book cover for a scratch and sniff debut. Because just
Like
talking about
s'mores or
marshmallow, I could
something.
smell
Yeah.
marshmallow. Like just
Like
talking
that,
about
like
it.
faint vanilla, like, we
We
should
need
reach
to
out
reach
and see
out.
if they've thought about that.
We need to just say, listen, you want to make history? You make this a scratch and sniff book cover. Who wouldn't buy the special edition
I
first
would.
ever scratch and sniff romance?
No one.
Yeah.
Everybody would buy it. They'd be sold out in minutes.
Okay. Well, then we're gonna have to we're gonna have to get AJ on the phone.
Yeah. And be like, listen up, guys.
This is and they'll be like, oh, it's gonna cost like a
Yeah,
thousand
$1,000,000.
dollars a book to do. I was like, it's okay.
Yeah,
So
it's worth it. It's worth it. Give the readers what they want.
That'd be awesome. So yeah, I'm excited. I guess we'll both be reading it and then reporting back to
Yes, we
our
definitely.
listeners and viewers.
Absolutely. I'm ready. I'm here for it.
So what's next, Libby?
Okay, so I am wrapping up my picks with one that I think I mentioned a few months ago because this is a follow up to another book I really enjoyed this year. It's Catch and Keep by Erin Hahn from St. Martin's Griffin, and it comes out October 15th. I was looking online and it's not listed as part of the series, but it's kind of in that like under the umbrella of two other of Erin Hahn's books, which is Built to Last, and the one that I raved about on the show is Friends Don't Fall in Love. So it is, I believe it was the three female leads are friends. So this is the third friend's story. The tropes include friends to lovers, and this is a single dad romance trope. So if that is your shtick, then you are going to be excited. And the thing I like about this is it's listed as a cozy romance. And I think that's an interesting choice because it doesn't look cozy. And the first two had, they were a little steamy, but there was that sense of, I hate to say sense of place, but there was this sense of place where every scene, even if it felt like something generic, you just felt kind of cozy. So I think it's interesting that they're marketing this as a cozy romance because I'm assuming, and the cover is charming as hell. A lot of fall vibes. I've just bring me fall already, but
When they say cozy, is it also small town or cozy, not small town? And in that case, I have
I'm
questions.
I'm thinking it is small town.
Oh, okay.
I think it might be considered cozy because she's a park ranger. I don't know if there's something going on with that job that gives the cozy vibes because I don't know, the wilderness, bundling up. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
grasping at straws here, but I'm wondering if part of that is her profession.
I think of a park ranger's job as less cozy and more dangerous.
And strenuous, you know what I mean? I've met a couple park
Sweaty.
rangers over the years, and the way they describe their jobs is very comparable to working as a public librarian. There's people to follow up on, messes to clean up of varying degrees. I feel like it's more, it's not
Yeah.
just wearing a fun hat and walking around the woods.
Yeah, and I think they're the ones who come across the remains of picnickers who were mauled by bears. And I don't think I want to, I don't want to be part of that.
I would be part of the picnic though, but not
The picnic, well,
not
that's just it.
the
With
bear.
picnic comes animals and animal death, death, human death.
Note to self: don't accept a picnic invitation from Liz.
You won't see me picnicking in the woods.
So here's the general premise. So Marin has been fishing her whole life, but she's finally ready to be caught. At 33, Marin just turned down her boyfriend's proposal, walked away from her decade-long position as a park ranger, potentially for all the things we just described, and returned to her childhood playground in northern Wisconsin to accept her inheritance, which is a decrepit waterfront bait shop. That alone intrigued me because it's very random. And again, that might lead to the coziness, but it's because it's not a bakery or a bookstore. It's a bait shop. And I'm like, heck yeah, that's a little different.
Yeah.
Not that I'm into fishing, but I like that it's, kind of breaking the mold a little.
You know what? I'm with you. Like at first, bait shop, I've been in bait shops. I would go fishing as a kid with my dad. And to me, it just brings up memories of worms and
Mhm.
fish smells and disgustingness.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's not a bakery.
Yes, it's different.
It's not a
Different.
bakery. So bring it on. I don't
Yes.
care what you're selling. Snake stores. I don't care. Like it's not a bakery.
It's something different. So, okay. So, after a lifetime of letting things happen to her, she's ready to start making her own moves, even if everyone else thinks she's making the wrong ones. Well, not everyone, at least the local Heartstopper and resort owner is on her side. So, here we go. Josiah Cole has made some missteps in his life, but he's proud of what he has, which are two awesome kids and the keys to the kind of getaway spot that has families coming every summer to their up north home away from home. After his marriage dissolved, leaving him a single dad, he feels he's the last person to judge Marin for her recent transformation, even if his best friend, who happens to be her brother, wants to make him feel otherwise. So I guess I should have added that this is a brother's best friend trope.
Oh, well, you know how much I love
Yeah,
those.
I know. Liz, this is made for you.
And for those who are listening and not watching my expression, I said that with irony
Yeah.
because I've grown to not prefer
Yes.
the best friend's brother or even best friend's sister, however you want to cut it.
Leave the siblings out of it, basically.
Leave this, but I did enjoy very much Forever to Fall, and I wrote a glowing review
You
on
did.
Goodreads. That was a unique type of falling in love with your brother's best friend because they were all best friends. It was almost like a best friends like triangle turned romance. It was like
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
it was like a trio of best friends, and then two of them, not the brother and sister, got
Yes.
together.
Yes. I don't write those types of books.
Not yet.
Not yet. Everybody has their price. No, I'm kidding. Okay. Anyway, so going back to our resort owner Josiah, which again, great name. So he genuinely likes having Marin around because she's a breath of fresh air and his kids adore her, not to mention her dog Rogers. And I like the name Rogers for a dog. I don't know what kind of dog it is yet, but I'm already intrigued and I'm here for it.
Not to interrupt again, but I
Yeah,
guess I
please.
will.
Yeah.
But the length of the book descriptions, as we mentioned in our last
Yes.
episode with Nikki, the bookseller, like the back of
Yes.
the book descriptions, they give away a lot, too much
Yeah,
information
because
there.
I'm not even done yet. I'm still going. Like the descriptions are getting longer. Like again, the dog's name is not usually on the back of the book. So I'm not complaining because I'm
Yeah.
intrigued by why it's a plural first name.
Well, I shan't interrupt again.
It is described as cozy and sexy from the publisher. So I am
Okay.
intrigued to see where cozy and sexy connect. That's a weird word.
Intersect.
Intersect. I'm intrigued by the fact that he owns a resort because again, there's a chance that she might need to stay there because she's homeless.
We could only
We can
hope.
only hope.
We could only
So,
hope.
yeah, so I don't know. I really, really, really loved her first two. Well, they're not her first two books, but her first two books in this universe.
Yes.
Again, being built to last and Friends Don't Fall in Love. So I am cautiously optimistic for Catch and Keep by Erin Hahn because the first two were the perfect balance of sweet and sexy, a couple very endearing moments that had you chuckling. Unless this one's very different, the other ones were not like some of the other books I mentioned, where they were actually like LOL moments. So I don't know. I'm intrigued. I think it's going to be good for fall. There's dogs, there's kids, there's a bait shop. What more do you need?
I don't know.
That's all.
I,
That's all you get.
I really don't know.
So Liz, that was my last pick for fall. Do you have anything left for us?
I do indeed.
Ooh.
I'm excited to read spicy time travel hockey romance Puck and Prejudice by Leah Riley.
Ooh. Tell me more.
I shall. Puck and Prejudice releases by Avon on November 12th. It's categorized on Amazon as magical realism and not sci-fi or fantasy, which I find interesting for time travel. So I'm wondering if it doesn't deeply explore the time travel part of it. Maybe it's
Of like Ashley Poston's books.
right. I think it might be, yeah, more that type, not really going into the scientific, oh,
Yeah.
how did this happen? There was a wormhole and he stepped in it, like they might not even talk about it at all. It might just be, oh, he's here now. He's here in the Regency era. I'm not sure. So Puck and Prejudice is a marriage of convenience between a professional hockey player who accidentally travels back in time to Regency era England and the brazen contemporary of Jane Austen he can't help but fall for. So this is the opening. Okay, so the book description opens with this line, and you can't not read it after this. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a modern single man in possession of a hockey jersey may be exactly what a Regency woman needs to avoid the shackles of marriage. I mean, that's a great way to
That's
kick off the book
perfect.
description.
Yeah, that's perfect. You
Now,
sold me.
I know, right? I don't even have to continue, but I
Yeah. Good
will.
night, everybody.
So this was another kind of longish book description. So I tried to shorten it up.
Parse it down.
Yeah. So here's what we got. Goalie Tucker Taylor, Tucker Taylor, Tucker Taylor, Tinker Spy.
I was just thinking that. Oh man.
What was that movie? It was
Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
That's it. Okay. Yeah, that's a rough one. Tucker Taylor. Okay.
You see, I'm already thinking it's Tinker Tucker.
I know. Tinker Tucker Taylor Spy visits his sister in England after being benched due to health issues. An accidental plunge into an icy pond thrusts him back to 1812, where he comes face to face with a captivating blue eyed woman who regards him as if he's grown two heads. Lizzie Wooddash dreams of a life surrounded by books, engaging conversation, the presence of literary icons like Jane Austen, and nary a husband in sight. But in Regency England, only widows like her cousin enjoy freedom and solitary pursuits, unencumbered by expectations. The only way to quickly become a widow is by marrying a dying man or killing a perfectly healthy one, neither of which Lizzie desires.
I was just gonna say, is the subplot she kills someone?
Now that I would read the F out of that
Yeah,
book.
ditto.
If it
Ditto.
was that she was a murderer, like she killed her, he walks in not knowing, what she's about, but they fall in love anyway.
It's just
And
like Butcher and Blackbird. I need to read that book.
oh my God, I bought it and I still haven't read it. I forgot I owned it.
Oh
I,
my God. We're
I, I
gonna
got,
stop the recording right now so you can get to it.
I got to I keep buying books. Okay. So a visitor from the future might just be the husband of her dreams. Now, this is where the book description really hooks me because
Okay.
this is different. Once married, they can figure out how to return Tucker to his proper timeline, and his absence, aka death, will make Lizzie the widow she's always dreamed of becoming. Yet,
Oh,
yes, yet,
I see.
right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
I really love this twist. As sparks ignite, they soon realize that matters of the heart rarely adhere to carefully laid plans. Can their love stand the test of time? Or will Lizzie get exactly what she wanted as well as a broken heart? So, I mean,
That
that's
sounds really good.
that's pretty awesome. That's
I
pretty
mean,
awesome.
hockey romance plus something that's Jane Austen adjacent. Like, yes, please.
Yeah. I'm wondering if they play what's that game with the stick in not hockey in England back in the day. It looks like
Oh, like not cricket. Oh my
yeah,
God.
like yeah, like
Um,
cricket,
oh my God, it's on the tip of my tongue.
like
Like
lawn cricket,
like in
rugby.
Bridgerton where they play Pall Mall.
Yeah, yes. I wonder if there's
Yeah.
a scene where he's playing it and does a good job because he's a hockey player or
Oh,
something
there
like that.
has to be. They have to find a way to like tie it together. I'm so intrigued now.
I've actually had this book on my radar for a while. So Puck and Prejudice by Leah Riley comes out November 12th.
So now, because great minds think alike, I believe, Liz, that we have another one in common for our picks for fall. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You are correct. And that book is The Jewel of the Isle by our book club pal, Kerry Ray, who lives in Columbus, Ohio, like us.
Mhm.
And this is an adventure rom com. It releases by Berkeley on November 26th. So, when is Thanksgiving? Is it the 24th?
I think it's the 28th, so I think it's 2 days before.
Okay, which is interesting because I always think of like the adventure stuff coming out maybe spring, summer, but I
It's
dig
true.
that this one's coming out. So I'm wondering if seasonally in the book, maybe it is cooler weather. I
Or
wonder.
maybe it's like some reverse, I don't want to say reverse marketing because that sounds funny, but maybe it's like for people who are not into holiday romances. Because as much as I love them, I know there are just as many people who are like, oh my God, if I see one more tinsel or, Christmas cover, I'm going to barf. This might be for
Okay.
people who are not into holiday romances. It kind of is like a palate cleanser, is how
Okay.
I'm
In,
thinking
in
about
the television biz, they call it counter programming. So
it. Oh, I like that.
yeah. So this is like counter
Counter
publishing.
reading. It's like counter booking. No.
Okay, yeah. Also, I suppose end of the year takes you into the new year, so adventure, new beginnings.
Mhm.
But anyway, I'm can't wait to read it. And it has the jewel tones and the
Yes.
pop art that we both like,
Mhm.
and we
The
mentioned
cover is stunning.
yeah, it's a stunning cover. The blurb: two very indoor people rough it on a remote island after getting swept up in an archaeologist hunt for a famed jewel in this dazzling new adventure rom-com by Kerry Ray, author of Lucy on the Wild Side. So this is like Romancing the Stone.
Yes, that is the vibe I got from the cover.
Right. Meets, I guess, The Lost City.
Yes. Yes. I think you were correct.
Emily Edwards is determined to fulfill her late father's national park bucket list, starting with Isle Royale National Park, home to wolves, bears, and 100-year-old shipwrecks. She has no choice but to hire a tour guide, and there is only one that isn't booked solid. So Emily hires Ryder Fleet, who co-owns Fleet Outdoor Adventures. Unbeknownst to her, Ryder isn't a wilderness expert, and he doesn't know how to find true north. So Emily's perfectly planned trek turns disastrous when she and Ryder witness a brutal crime and are suddenly forced to evade a group of archaeologists on the hunt for a jewel. As they spend nights together, too close for comfort, they realize their shoddily built fire isn't the only thing that's kindling, and that they must trust each other if they want to escape the island with their lives and hearts intact.
Oh, it sounds so good. I'm really excited. And we've talked about this before. I feel like adventure romance is going to kind of be the next subplot / trope that's growing in popularity. And hopefully like coal miners with little Jimmy.
Oh yeah, listen, I have not given up hope that there will be coal
there
miner
might be
romance.
something, because if there's diamonds and jewels in this, they come from mines. Come on.
Yeah,
but I think put a call into Carrie and see if she can quick throw a little Jimmy in there somewhere.
But I think she'd have to make Jimmy a spelunker, because don't the spelunkers, aren't those the ones who go into caves and
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
diamond mined?
Oh, he's wiry. He can do it.
I think we could convince Carrie to put little Jimmy, a little coal miner, ragamuffin.
Maybe if there's a sequel.
We could only hope. And that's our roundup. Watch Romance Roundup on Reader Seeks Romance channel and subscribe on YouTube. Listen to Romance Roundup on Podbean and all podcast apps. Thanks for joining us, romance readers.
Happy reading, everyone.